we're reflecting on this campaign, the great thing is we know it works out well in the end. But in the first game, you then go 1-0 down away to Belarus, and that's when the pressure's really on. The campaign's up and running. What's going through your mind at that point?
That trip was, yeah, it was a tough one, to be honest. You know, it's the first time in 12 years that, as a national team, they've got a new manager. That's me. Worked with a lot of the players before, some of them I played alongside. Where at the time we're really in front in the game in terms of possession, creating chances, and you know, it's one-way traffic, and you could only see a goal coming for us, and then a freak goal, Belarus go 1-0. But before that, we, you know, on the logistics side of it, our luggage didn't arrive, you know, so we're in Frankfurt. It was a stopover in Frankfurt, and then we were late for our next flight, so that delayed the luggage. So we actually had to train in Belarusian kit when we were there. So everything, myself and Andy, you know, I was coaching with my glasses on. Andy didn't have any spare contact lenses, and it was kind of like that. And you're thinking, is this for real? You know. So eventually, you know, the kit arrived and whatever, and we were fine. And in the game at half time, we were very calm with the players. You know, you'll win the game. Don't panic. You know, keep on doing the right things. Do what we ask you to do. Create the chances, and you'll win the game. And you know, they did. They were very composed in the second half, in particular, and it was waves of attack. You know, we come away from the game and everyone's thinking, oh, they were lucky. It was 2-1. It was 2-1 going on 8-1. But the starting point, it was tough for us, and then we came home, and you know, one of the players had a bereavement in the family, and so there was a lot of things, and that was the starting point for us in the campaign. There was a lot of things that as a group we had to contend with, and I have to say the players just matured all the way through the campaign.
Yeah, so you win that game 2-1. Things get a little bit more comfortable, luckily, for a while anyway. The 5-0 win against Albania. Next up, how satisfying was that? A real, you know, convincing performance, but scoreline as well. It
was great. I mean, I remember it was October and we were at the Simple Digital Arena, and I think, take out the goals, the performance was magnificent. We played with intent, we played with intensity, and it got the crowd really up for it. And, you know, for me that was a big thing, because initially I knew we'd get the Hungary game, and then we had this double header, and I wanted to be in a position, a new coach coming in after 12 years of Anna's good work on the back of it, winning the friendly game and getting 6 points on the board. And then I knew we would have a bit of time then to then actually start to go into the nitty-gritty of the blueprint and try and implement more of our philosophy. So those were key moments at the very, very start to get off to a good start. And it was really, really instrumental in terms of the team growing.
And then a different challenge, because when you play Switzerland, they're then the top seeds in the group. So that supposedly, you know, on paper, that's the benchmark. It's a 1-0 away defeat, but how do you reflect on that? Did you see positives to make you think that you could still progress? I did. Myself and the staff. I think the players were a bit disappointed, and I think, you know, the reports after the game from the media weren't too flattering for us either. I think they felt that we could have done more to go for it. I remember saying to Andy on the touchline, because we were, you know, deliberating in terms of substitutions, and I said, 1-0 might not be a bad scoreline here for us. I felt as in that game in particular, at the time we were in terms of our development, if we had opened up, we might have been vulnerable, because their attacking threat, you know, was phenomenal. So, and I felt if we had done that, given the fact that we had a home game against a really tough Poland team, I thought it might dent the confidence a little bit. So it was very calculated. As much as it wasn't that we played for a draw or anything, it was just the way the game panned out. I think it was Kim's first game back after being out. So, you know, there was a lot of things that we factored in that game. And then obviously, you know, going back after the Switzerland game, I was trying to say to the players, look, you know, just hang fire here, you know, be confident. We've got a tough opponent in Poland to play, and that's not the worst result for us. They're a really, really good team, and they are. I think that even on our successful campaign
people still think about Switzerland, or they were a really, really good team. So, and I don't think we get the credit for that we deserved, even though we've got to the World Cup. I don't think people appreciate how good a team Switzerland were. But going back, the home game against Poland, yeah, that was another tough game for us because, again, we probably didn't play as well as what we could have in the first half. And then we made a substitution in the second half, and we gave away a penalty. It was, in my opinion, never a penalty. Justice was probably done. Lee makes a good save. And we then win the game quite comfortably. But I think the key thing I remember about that game is at half-time. We were actually going to make substitutions at half-time, and I didn't want to do it at half-time because I felt that they would tire, Poland would tire. And I think the left back had been booked at the time. And I said, let's play on that side because, you know, they're getting tired, she's been booked. And then, true to form, she gets second yellow, gets sent off. You know, Lee saves the penalty before that, and we go on and we end up winning the game quite comfortably. We win it 3-0. But that was a tough, tough game for us. Tough game.
Football's full of big moments. In fact, we're in the museum surrounded by memories of big moments. When you look back on that penalty save from Lee, how big a moment was it to think what then followed?
It was. I think before that, and I probably shouldn't share this, but I think if you look back in our footage, the tactical footage, Emma Mitchell goes up and points to the referee and the player about the ball not being on the spot, and there's a little bit of a set-to between her and Payor, who takes the penalty, and eventually, obviously, Lee saves it. But there was a wee bit of game management in there, and you know, it worked in our favour, and it's something else that we've been, you know, trying to speak to the players about. To get to the next level, you need to be streetwise. You need to manage the game at certain times, and they done it brilliant. You know, looking back, penalty save was huge. Penalty moment surrounding it was huge, and then to go on and play on that side, and the player get a second yellow, get sent off, and you know, I think at the end we created, you know, a few really good chances after that. But to finish 3-0, it ended up being a comfortable win, but it wasn't all the way through the game.
There's a bit of deja vu about the next Belarus game. Again, you go 1-0 down, but Erin Cuthbert scores twice. You win the match 2-1. Was that another one where you perhaps think it should have been a bit more comfortable in terms of taking more chances? I
think I would use the word frustration. You know, I think the goals that we conceded in the campaign, we shot ourselves in the foot a wee bit, you know, and you know, we have spoke about that as well. How do you take that and eradicate that from your game, because you're putting yourself under unnecessary pressure? And I remember doing a little kind of theoretical session with the players after that, because it was Belarus and then Poland away. And so it was actually in Poland that we set them a task in groups, and I said, I want you to critique the goal. And we weren't sure what we were going to get from all of the different groups, but there was one group in particular that actually named every single player, every single part of the process in terms of who could have done what. And it was a really good exercise because you had a group that was being more generic. Well, we should have pressed from the front, we should have done this. But there was a group that actually
just went for it.
Just went for it. And I can remember at the time thinking how this could go one way or another, but actually it ended up as a group. They were all laughing and, you know, took it on board. And I said, well, look, sometimes at this level you have to critique, as long as it's done in the correct manner and you recognise and you take responsibility and you learn from it, because we are conceding goals that we don't need to concede. So it was a good exercise to do. And but again, in that game, you're thinking, tactically, we'd went through how to play. We'd actually worked on them playing into the middle of the pitch to go and press them and win the ball higher up the pitch. And it worked a treat for us. It's just we switched off in a moment that, and I think sometimes that happens subconsciously when you're a player. It's almost like you know that you're better, you've got better players, but sometimes at in moments of the game you switch off a wee bit and it can cause you problems, because in international football there's always players that can hurt you and always teams that can hurt you if you're not switched on, and for us that happened in the campaign quite a wee bit.